Developments from the Westgate attack. The meeting features security bosses from the NIS, Interior Ministry, Defence Ministry, Kenya Police Service and the Kenya Defence Forces. They will discuss the ongoing investigations of the terror attack. The government has confirmed that a briefing will follow to update the country on the Westgate siege after the General Service Unit and Kenya Police Service conducted a major raid in Nairobi's Majengo and Pumwani area in search of a suspect linked to the attack. Security agents say the man has crucial information on the attack at the Westgate Mall and could be a major link to the rest of the terror group. Nairobi County Governor Dr. Evans Kerio has urged Kenyans not to be intimidated by the acts of terrorism following the recent attack at the Westgate Mall. Speaking at the Nakumatt UK, a few meters from the Westgate shopping mall, Kerio says that security has been heightened in the country, calling for peace and unity among Kenyans. He led hundreds of shoppers on a shopping spree at the Nakumatt stores as a show of defiance to terrorism threats. Accompanying him was his wife, Mrs. Susan Kerio.
To get back to your normal life. The security forces have done their best. They're doing their best. They're providing security. Actually, to the extent that today, I don't even have my security. It's just me, Susan, and the driver. So let's try and get back to our normal lives. It's the only way we demonstrate that our spirit has not been dented, which is a fact. Our spirit has been dented.
Still on the Westgate siege, Wiper Democratic Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka has strongly condemned the Westgate Mall attack and urged the country to remain vigilant and united. Speaking on arrival from northern Sri Lanka, Kalonzo said the government needs to approach the crisis in a non-partisan manner. Kalonzo said that Christians and Muslims in Kenya should emerge more united and shame terrorists out to divide the nation. During the 4-day siege, the opposition led by former Prime Minister Raila Odinga puts its differences aside and aided the government in promoting national unity.
Fellow Kenyans, let us not fall to the temptation, because this is all the intention of these terrorists, to try and bring in religious animosity. We must not allow this to happen. It is clear to practicing Muslims that Islam does not advocate violence. Now, these are people with twisted ideology of killing, and in my view, it does not make sense, and nobody can justify whatever the grievance, the taking away of an innocent citizen's life. Because you cannot go shooting people dead like you're dealing with antelopes. And at that point, their moral standing gets completely done away with.
Churches across the country held special prayers for the country and victims of the Westgate attack. Christian faithfuls flocked to the churches this Sunday, where sermons and prayers were centered on those who were directly affected in the terror attack, their families and Kenya. Security remained tight in many churches. Church leaders called on Kenyans to reject attempts by the terrorists to divide the country.
It is a sorry state. It's painful, it's hurting, and more so hurting sometimes when you hear that there was some security lapse. But that is something for another day, and it's for us to learn. But as I was saying in my homily, that spirit of charity, that spirit of oneness, that spirit of helping one another should not only come about when we are having tragedies like this. should not only be seen when in crisis. This is something as Christians, I was telling them, that we should live it as part of our life. It is our life to be charitable. It's our life to be benevolent. It is our life, and we should live it.
Nairobi Senator Mike Sonko Mbuvi has urged Kenyans to be vigilant and take active part in preventing crime and terrorism in the country. Sonko is urging Kenyans to report suspicious persons and incidents to the police. He was speaking at Ruaraka High School, where he donated over 6,000 sanitary pads to be distributed to girls' schools in Starehe and Kasarani areas.
We lost over 67 innocent Kenyans. If you come across any stranger, any person you don't know, please report to the police. And if you are afraid to report to the police, you report to me as your senator, and we will ensure we pass that message to the relevant security authorities.
Well, moving away from the Westgate tragedy, it was pomp and colour at the Bomas of Kenya yesterday as the Nubian community held their annual cultural festival. Here's a glimpse of that colourful event. From food preparation to attire, art and household items, the Nubian community showcased their cultural attributes in a day-long event at the Bomas of Kenya. The event, which was graced by elders and local leaders, also saw the coronation of Nubian ambassadors who will be representing the community in various capacities.
I didn't expect it, but we really trained hard. I thank my instructors, the Bomas of Kenya and the government of Kenya for really giving the Nubians community this chance to come and show their culture.
I didn't expect to be number one, but it just came. Na nimefurahi. Good representation for my community.
Bomas of Kenya officials say the festival was part of a long-term initiative that will see all Kenyan tribes have an opportunity to feature their cultural heritage.
Our mandate as Bomas of Kenya, we are supposed to promote, to preserve, and also to educate the Kenyan citizenry on culture of this country.
The program has already seen the Turkana, Mijikenda, Meru, Samburu and Ilchamus communities participate since August 2006. Elgeyo-Marakwet County has set aside 2.5 million shillings to rehabilitate alcoholic teachers in the county. This initiative comes after a rise in alcoholism in the county. According to Elgeyo-Marakwet Governor, alcoholism has greatly affected the education sector in the county. Speaking at a graduation ceremony for the reformed brewers, Nakada CEO William Okedi pledged his assistance to rid the county of illicit brews. Tolgos is calling on well-wishers to fund the initiative.
Because we have a number of teachers who are now addicts and we need to rehabilitate them. And I want to say that personally, we budgeted some money to ensure that we rehabilitate our teachers and any other public servant who thinks that this alcohol is becoming a problem to him or her. So that one, we are still pursuing that course, and I'm sure at the end of it all, we'll ensure that we return that energy to our people so that they work and transform our counties.
The implementation of VAT on basic consumer products, including books, is now receiving harsh criticism by stakeholders who want the decision reversed to save Kenyan school children and book lovers from potentially literacy crisis. Educationist Edda Gashukio passionately appealed to the government to consider including books in the zero-rated items to make them affordable to the wider reading audience, including students. She was speaking during this year's Jomo Kenyatta Prize for Literature Awards held last night at a Nairobi hotel, where top authors were awarded. Henry Ole Kulet emerged the top winner in the English adult category for his title Vanishing Herds by publishers Longhorn, while the Kiswahili adult category was won by Tom Olali for his book Watu wa Gehenna, published by Jomo Kenyatta Foundation.
I lack sufficient words to express appropriately the excitement that is presently bubbling in my heart. Suffice it to say, while the first win could have been termed a chance win of a lifetime, this second win epitomizes the culmination of a long literary journey that I have had to travel.
Don't let us choose between buying milk and bread and salt, sugar that is becoming a luxury, yeah? And a book that my little child wants. Because children are learning. Children are fast learning that books are as important as that ice cream.
Kenyan Wilson Kipsang has broken the marathon world record by 15 seconds he claimed the Berlin title on Sunday. The 31-year-old clocked a time of 2 hours, 3 minutes, 23 seconds to better the previous mark set by compatriot Patrick Macau 2 years ago. That was also in the German capital when Macau ran 2 minutes and 2:03:38 over 26.2 miles. Fellow Kenyans Eliud Kipchoge and Geoffrey Kipsang finished second and third respectively in this year's marathon.
Fast and fast. Watch the clock. 38, he's got 30 seconds to go. He's going to do that. Look at this. The world record is gone to Wilson Kipsang of Kenya. A magnificent moment of marathon history. 2 hours, 3 minutes and unofficially 21 seconds, and that is unbelievable. I reckon he's taken magnificent performance, the big smile, and well he might. Mark Mile, the meet director, greets him and says thank you very much. But
that's going to make him the third fastest man in history, behind fourth fastest behind himself and Macau and Gebre Selassie.
Clans in Kerio Valley are engaged in conflict over land ownership following prospects of finding oil in the area. The communities are said to have always lived harmoniously and only recently started reporting the disputes. Tala Oil is currently exploring oil in the region, which has spurred a misconception among the people in the area that oil will be owned by landowners rather than the government. Kerio South DC mediated over a dispute between two clans that had stopped oil explorations exercise in the Cheptobo area following a similar dispute. Area residents claim that those who had migrated from the valley are now trooping back to get a share of the oil land, with others alleging that they are still legal owners of the land they left behind. They now want the government to be swift in resolving these conflicts. Kerio Valley is not adjudicated and land is owned by the community.
And then where we are currently, there are disputes between the two families. Unfortunately, this has been brought by two conflicting numbers, which was issued by the adjudication section. And then we are now trying to solve it so that we leave the Talo to do their work without restriction. We have talked here at length. We have talked with Talo, we have talked with the community, we have talked with the elders and the leaders here that they should not bring issue of land ownership. Let the Talo do their land, their work, and then issue dealing with the land ownership, we shall be dealt with.
Welcome back. You're watching KTN Weekend at 1. Harrowing stories from survivors of the siege on the upscale mall in Nairobi last weekend. Witnesses described direct encounters with the attackers and scrambling to help the wounded. At least 67 people, including 6 security officers, are said to have died in the attack, while 175 are recorded to have been injured.
We heard a series of gunshots. We called everyone to the corner, all the kids and the mums and the parents and everyone. And we said, get down, get down, get down on the floor. And just as we did that, the gunmen tossed a grenade to where we were.
I was sitting with my daughter, and my wife was doing some shopping upstairs. She had left us just a couple minutes before, and heard a loud explosion or blast, followed by some gunshots. All of a sudden, a wave of people started running back away from the parking lot. And so I just sort of turned and ran back.
Let's go upstairs.
And we heard machine guns, and then we started to run, and there was a second explosion which knocked us on the ground.
The sound was loud, and children, I believe they've never heard something that loud. So they started screaming, and at the same time, the shots started coming in, and I just watched, because we were right near the wall. I saw something whiz by my son's head, just like that. And it bounced from the wall and hit the little boy over here who was standing next to him. I tried to, put my hand there to stop bleeding. I don't know what I was doing. But I couldn't save him.
You could hear, while we were back there, them methodically kind of going from store to store, talking to people, asking questions, shooting, screams, and then it would stop for a while, and then they would go to another store.
The guy with the white shirt spoke first, and he said, we're from Somali, and we don't normally kill women and children. But then again, you've killed our women and children. His colleague next to him,
thin, tall, skinny face, black scarf.
He just opened fire.
Everyone who got shot or something, because they were all bleeding. So we had our aprons, so we had to give it to them, so they'd stop bleeding.
You can't sleep. It's, you just remember things. And at least there was one point I just thought I had lost her.
We have been trying to look for our dad since Saturday. But today we found him, although he was dead. Can't say anything because we have nothing to do. Just forgive those guys who did that. Let God do his work.